Welcome back, Shalligators. Welcome back to Vlogmas. Today we're going to continue our sort of series on Shawn Mendes and Camila Cabello, how she is not just an object of love for him, but an object of admiration and almost obsession. We're going to talk about what to do if the roles are reversed. If you're Camila, what to do if you are a guy's hurt locker. And a hurt locker, we've talked about before, it's in someone in whom we store our hurts when we don't feel good about ourselves, and someone who we not necessarily want to date, but we want to be. Oh, it's a whole thing. I'm going to break it down a little bit more detail, but before we jump into this, I want to let you guys know we have the Shallanthropy holiday fundraiser going on right now. We're trying to raise $2,000 to benefit the Gethsemane Garden Baptist Church. It's the Black Baptist church that I attended in New York City. I stuck out, but I never felt so welcomed by a church. And I've had like my ups and downs with Christianity for sure. The people at Gethsemane, like, they truly embraced me as one of their own and got me through some really tough times. And so I really want to be able to give them back and get them through these tough times with all of y'all's help. So we're trying to buy coats, gifts for the kiddos, and then items for the homebound seniors. And Gethsemane doesn't just help the seniors who go to their church, they help all the seniors in their local community, which is the Lower East Side in New York City. Been hit really hard by COVID. Almost everyone at that church lives below the poverty line. And I remember one year, because for the last few years I've been kind of supporting their Christmas just on my own. A lady asked, oh my God, it's gonna make me she had just gotten out of the shelters and finally into her own place, and on her Christmas list was a knife, a fork, and a spoon. Anyway, I can't think about that for too long. Their needs are small, but they're also great. And we can be the miracle. We can be a Christmas miracle for people. Also, be a Christmas miracle for yourself. Treat yourself. We have some brand new merchandise that has launched as part of my clothing line, Slxo. We've got 3 new styles, more being added next week. I let you guys enter a contest to design some pieces. Those are going to be out soon. You guys really brought the heat. It's incredible. So head on over there. If you have a love question you want to submit to me, you need some one-on-one help, head to my website, shallonlester.com. On shallonlester.com, you can donate to the fundraiser, buy some merch, submit a question, and connect with me in general. So let's talk Shawn and Camila. Before we talk Shawn and Camila's relationship, can we talk about his album? So his album Wonder dropped on Friday. You know I love Shawn. You know he's like granddaddy. I love him. I love his music. I am loath to criticize an artistic endeavor because I went through a big songwriting jag a few years ago. I was this close to moving to Nashville to become a songwriter and really pursue that dream, but instead I became a YouTuber. So I really kind of got an inside track on what it takes to be a songwriter. And let me tell you, it is fucking witchcraft. The fact that he's like, that anybody, who does this is like mathy enough to learn how to play the guitar, because music is math, and then write really cool, moving songs, insane. And then on top of that, you have the charisma and the X factor to perform and be dynamic. Wow, it's wild. So I know that he poured a lot of himself into this album, but I gotta say, I really hated it. I hated it. Oh, because every song was about Camila. And of course it's going to be. It's love. Love is your muse, for sure, when it comes to it. But it was just the songs, the lyrics I thought were really sort of simplistic. Like, the stars are like art. That doesn't even rhyme. If you're going to have a non-rhyming sentence, it better be so good and cool that you're fine with it. And the song Teach Me How to Love, oh my God, I was awash with Deuce chills. I'm like, if a man wrote this for me and played it, I would file a restraining order. I don't want to hear the word caress out of any man's mouth for the rest of my life. It is worse than moist, because I've never actually had a guy say moist in any sort. Ooh, you're moist. Like, what are you talking? Ugh. But men will say caress. Shawn Mendes will say caress. And I'm like, Shawn, oh, this is, and also the song's meaning is I am terrible in bed and I don't know what I'm doing with a woman. Beep, bop, I'm just sort of honk, honk. Like, Shawn, don't write a song about how bad you are in bed, babe. And the other songs just kind of sounded like Beatles songs. And I mean that in the bad way, because to me, just my opinion, I either love or hate Beatles songs. Like, when they're good, Golden Slumbers, Hey Jude, they're just like unreal. And when they're bad, it's I Am the Walrus. And some of it, just like the backing guitars sounded very like Led Zeppelin, but with simple lyrics. I'm like, this is I don't think there's a number one single in that whole album. I don't know what he's going to release next. I don't know, maybe it just has to gel a little bit more, but one of you guys made a very astute comment on the last video we did about Shawn and Camila. You said, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember the username, I'm sorry. If it was you, let me know in the comments. You said, I feel like Shawn's only personality trait is loving Camila. That's the entirety of himself lately. And that hit different. I was like, it's kind of true. Now, on one hand, I understand that celebrities want to and should keep sectors of their life private. I'm not really a celebrity, but I have certain things I keep very private. I don't post my boyfriend all that often. I don't post my car or the exterior of my house. There are certain things that you're like, no, this is in its own private lane. Great. So maybe that's how he is with hobbies and passionate causes and travel. But man, he doesn't seem to like anything but her. It's all he talks about and sings about and says in interviews. Even Justin Bieber, who I don't believe is like deep as the river runs, seems to have a lot more diversity in his life. God, we'll talk about that forever. His clothing line, Drew House, is this fetch we're trying to make happen? Because that's what it seems like to me. I think it's the ugliest clothes. And I like hypebeast shit. I love it. And I'm like, that is, it's sort of clown-ish, but not in a way that understands that it's clown shit. Anyway. He skateboards, he had that monkey for a while. Like, I just feel like maybe there's more diversity. Shawn, it's true. It's like, who are you without Camila? And it makes you wonder, who were you before you got her, right? And this comes back to the idea of the Hurt Locker. Now, if you're new, you haven't heard me talk about Hurt Lockers, and even if you have, let's do a refresher. A Hurt Locker is this name I came up with, TM, that like, it's someone in whom we store our hurts. We lock up our hurts inside of someone and we fixate on this person in general. My Hurt Lockers have always been people, super high achieving and yet very humble men, very just wholesome and well-rounded and just literally good people. What does that say about me? I am not humble. Fuck humility. I work hard, be humble. Work hard. Don't be humble. Be proud of yourself. Talk about it. Great. And wholesomeness is not really my galvanizing trait. It's a little, but so a Hurt Locker is not someone necessarily who you want to date. Oftentimes it's someone you want to be, because it's someone you imprint on during a time in your life where you are emotionally vulnerable. I'm talked that my almost Montana Hurt Locker when I first got here was a guy who had a huge group of friends. He was like the guy about town. I moved here, I didn't know anybody. I mean, not one single person in this whole state. And so to see somebody who was living this social inclusion life that not only did I want, but I had in New York City. I was that person on like a much bigger scale. I was like, and I felt like I started to feel obsessed with him. And I was able to realize that that's what was going on, dial it back and focus on getting those needs met, going out, making my own friends, establishing myself as the girl about town, becoming the thing that I thought he was going to give to me and save me from. So what happens? Like I said, if you're the Camila, if you're dating a guy and you realize, fuck, I'm his Hurt Locker. He's imprinted on me. He's clinging to me like a drowning man. He's obsessed with me. Is this bad? Are they for the right reasons? Are there any right or wrong reasons? Should I call him out on it? Okay. So I think one of my fan accounts, I'm pretty sure it was quotes by Shallon. Hi, Nicole. I love my fan accounts. I talk to you guys all day. You guys are the best. You're like literally just better than me, which is what I want. I want to be obsolete at some point because there's a whole generation of girls who are like, we know it. We got it. Perfect. So she put on her story, she's like, I think my boyfriend is like, I'm his Hurt Locker. Do I tell him like, hey, I think that this is actually what's going on beneath the surface? And one of you guys wrote in, again, if this is you, tell me in the comments, truly the wisest thing. You're like, absolutely not. No, do not do a psychological breakdown for him because then you'll become his therapist. You guys are learning. We as women, if you're watching this, you're not only a high achieving woman, you are an empathetic woman. And truly, this is the worst fucking combination of traits. Is it not? Because we are acquirers, but we're also lovers. We don't get to move through life with the ruthlessness of like a crazy ambitious, achieving male who is only expected to achieve, only expected to rise up the ladder, and whatever little emotional scraps they have over for their family and friends, oh, that's plenty, that's fine, you're just so high-powered. No, we're also expected to be lovers and fighters for the things that we want. And it's when unless we get that in check, those impulses in check, we can become very drained, we can waste our time and our energy, and we can become a dude's therapist. Do guys want to fuck their therapist? No. Do they want to fuck their mommy? No. So we cannot fall into either one of those roles. And calling a guy out and doing this whole psychology breakdown, it can be very embarrassing for them. I've said before, I took a storytelling class in college and it was so cool. It was like a fun elective. I thought it was just going to be a fun elective, but I actually learned so much about psychology, human psychology. And one thing the professor said was, children are attracted to certain fairy tales for very specific reasons. Like they ping something up inside of them. Like my fairy tale was always Sleeping Beauty, the Disney version. And because it was a girl who was abandoned by her parents or taken away and raised in sort of isolation by 3 little old fairies. My mom traveled for work. Very often I felt isolated, and my great-grandmother and my grandmother raised me. So that I felt so much like Briar Rose. And had someone told me that when I was 10, I would have been so deeply humiliated. It's always embarrassing when you think the whole rest of the world has been analyzing you and you've been too dumb to see it. We don't want to feel like we're the last to know about our own selves. I know myself. I know everything about myself. And when someone comes along and is like, here's a huge thing you don't realize, you're like, oh, we can get very defensive. Like, it would be super traumatic if a mom's like, sweetie, do you know why you like Frozen? Because me and your dad love your sister more. So if you say this shit to a man, it could backfire in a big way. He gets super defensive, super shut down. And also, would we say it's a bad thing? Would we say it's a bad thing that a guy's obsessed with us? No, I don't think it's a bad thing that a guy is obsessed with us. But we should define the term. One of you guys also pointed out something that I've said, and I can never remember if it was my grandmother or Nene Leakes who said it. They're both so wise. A man should always love you just a little bit more than you love him, right? That keeps things in exactly the right balance. And you might be thinking, balance? That sounds out of balance. No, not to a man. Because what is a man? A hunter. How many guys go hunting and they're really proud to show off that deer they killed that was simply standing in the fucking road? That's not hunting. That's like cherry picking. That's fish in a barrel, right? There's no glory in that. There's no honor. It's just like, well, it just kind of wandered up to me, so I killed it, so here it is. They didn't stalk it. There's no achievement. Same with women. When you see good marriages, it's the man who's like, there's this element of still chasing each other, right? Of the guy, like, she's just a little out of reach. She's not mean or aloof, but like, she's not just like, hey, she's not just this lapdog of a wife. How do we achieve that? Hobbies, interests, goals of our own for no one but ourselves that we are constantly pursuing, whether that's training for a marathon, getting your GED, opening a store, starting that artisanal sock line, whatever it is. Things that we do just for us, by ourselves, and then we spark that passion inside ourselves and we carry that passion back into our relationship, right? I always say, I can't play hard to get. I'm not good at it. I'm not like a great faker. Like, I'll white knuckle it through 7 minutes of not Snapchatting him back. Like, great. I can't play hard to get. I have to actually be hard to get. So I have forced myself to craft a career and a social life that truly keeps me so busy, I can't be a mess. I can't accept a late night booty call. I gotta get up early. No, I'm not accepting this last minute date. I've already got plans with 10 other people. No, I really didn't try not to text you back. I literally forgot because I'm talking to shalligators all day long and you guys are better. So it's okay to be a little out of reach. And I think it's an excellent thing if your boyfriend or husband does admire you and look up to you and you serve as sort of an exemplar of the kind of person he wants to be, or someone who serves as such a great example, he wants to make himself better to rise to your level. I think that's what Hailey Baldwin does for Justin Bieber. She, I believe, to him is this example of, you know, having a good relationship with her family, even though they might disagree. Hailey's super liberal. Her family's like ultimate Trumpers. Justin has a hard time getting along with his mom. You know, I mean, that mom is a mess. That's a whole different thing. Hailey's also super Christian. She walks it like she talks it, right? I mean, as far as we know. So he wants to be good enough for her and better. But we're talking about all the positive ways you can be a man's hurt locker. What if you're seeing some not positive ones? What if, yeah, it's not that, oh, he admires you and looks up to you, which absolutely should be present in any relationship, you know? If you don't admire your partner, really, how can you love them? Like, I love my friends because I admire them. That is truly the foundation of so many of my relationships is admiration, you know? And because then they make me better and I make them better. It's just this whole like circle jerk of betterment. But what if, yeah, it's a hurt locker situation. Sorry, I spilled something on my couch. Great job. What do you do? Well, like I said, don't call them out. That's not healthy. And it's important to note that, yes, you want someone who admires you and you want to admire them, but there is a difference between admiration and emotional getaway car. Because what we do when we imprint on a hurt locker, it's not just, I want to be this guy. It's, he is going to fucking save me. He is going to save me. His specialness, this is how I felt about my first hurt locker. His fame and his specialness is going to splash onto me. And I will be special by extension because I'm associated with him. And therefore, it's fine that I'm slacking on my career. It's fine. It doesn't matter because I have him. Hurt locker, stored inside there. That's not what we want. We don't want someone who replaces our own achievements, and we cannot be that for a man, right? And we've talked about SHAWN and Camila and the dynamic there that, like, he admires her and looks up to her because she represents this pop star, this polished, but yet cool behind the scenes pop star at a time when they met, when he was like so green and so new, she was just like this icon to him. And I don't know, man. It's good that he looks up to her and respects everything she's done, but I think that their relationship is tipped into sort of like a weird out of balance thing. Anyway, so don't call a guy out. It's going to backfire and it's going to be weird. What you can do is sniff around a little bit to find out what these hurt locker data points are. You can be like, baby, what do you like about me? Actually, tell me what you admire about me. You can make it funny. You don't have to be like, tell me what you admire about me. Say it. Like, you know, you can start off saying what you admire about him. And just pay attention to what he says. If he's like, you're really ambitious and you're really focused and you have a great work ethic. Ah, okay. Maybe that means he doesn't feel that way about himself. So this is what you do. You encourage those things. You fan those flames. If he's getting drunk at 9:30 on a Tuesday night, you'd be like, babe, you know what? Why don't you stop drinking? Let's go work on your art projects. Let's go outline your book. Why don't you go upstairs and do that? I'll clean up the kitchen. Wouldn't you feel good if you did that? Yeah, okay. If he's like, you're really fit, you're really motivated. Hey, babe, let's get up and go do Pilates on Saturday morning. Try to give him the tools to experience what he's obsessed with about you in the unhealthy sort of way. I mean, you're still going to be an object of obsession. Do not worry about that. But it has to be a healthy sort of thing. It can't be the getaway car. She's going to save me. I don't have to be X, Y, and Z because my wife is. Oh, I don't have to be financially responsible. My wife does it all. No, I don't. No. That doesn't sound fun. No, thank you. Because when you give someone the tools to do it for themselves, then they can look at you more neutrally. But I mean that in a good way. Because there does have to be some balance in a relationship in terms of power. Like, yeah, he's going to love you more. And he always will when he admires you. But if you look at Justin Bieber and Hailey Baldwin, let's go back to them. Like, it began, like, his obsession with her began because he was in such a chaotic, insane place. She represented this stability that he had always wanted, this Christian virtue that he didn't feel like he had. And now that he's moved more into that space and he feels more in control of his health and his career and his relationship with Jesus or whatever, I think that's probably improved their marriage and their relationship. That, like, now it's not mommy child, it's not therapist patient, it's partner and partner a little bit more. How will this play out for SHAWN and Camila? I don't know. I mean, he's written some very bad songs in love. Very bad songs. It's just a truth of creativity that pain produces the best work. It really is. This is why you have what's called the sophomore slump when it comes to like albums and stuff. Because a band will make like this amazing first album before they're famous. So they're like poor and angry and young. And then they get famous and life is so much better. And their second album is garbage because they're not really anything to complain about anymore. There's not that hardship driving the creativity. And I don't hope that they break up. But if and when they might, I think we're going to get some bangers out of him. Because right now, this is just... it's like the music Ross made on Friends. Do you know what I mean? Like dinosaur music. I want to know, if you have been someone's hurt locker, how did you handle it? Was it actually a fine dynamic in your relationship? You know, did he kind of like get over the obsession and the mania, and did it settle into a nice sort of rhythm and a nice sort of dynamic? Or did you date someone who imprinted on you? Maybe you were the cool girl on campus, he was the new kid in town, and you're like, did you feel suffocated? Did you call him out on it? How did it play out? I want to know. And I want to know what you guys think is going to happen with Shawn and Camila. In the meantime, please donate to our fundraiser. Truly, $1, $5. Those were the majority of donations for last year's fundraiser. It adds up. Do not feel like you have to break the bank. I know this has been a really hard year. So anything you can spare truly, truly, truly is appreciated and honestly makes a difference. I'll see you tomorrow, Shalligators. Come back for more Vlogmas.